April of 2019. Sponsorships were rolling in and stuff like that. I made almost as much in that month of April than I did in a whole year as a teacher. And I'm talking like 40 grand.
Meets Denver, a former teacher who quit his job to become a full-time YouTuber. But after hitting 1 million subscribers, he started working as a strategist behind the scenes with YouTube's largest creators like Fulton, who's the biggest Roblox YouTuber in the world, and JSTU, an entertainment channel with 8.5 million subscribers.
We hit 99.9 million in the month of May. We just wanted 100 million, and I'm just like, I think my tweet was, you gotta be kidding me, guys.
In this episode, Denver dives into the strategies he uses to completely transform YouTube channels.
You never know what format or style of thumbnail can literally change your channel from hundreds to thousands, or thousands to millions.
How he grew a YouTube channel from scratch while working full-time as a teacher.
I'm coming home from school. My wife makes me a big thermos about this big of coffee, and I just chug it, and I work till midnight.
And the incredible ideation process he uses to break view ceilings and generate millions of views a month for his clients.
It was one of the big things that I could do, is just say, if we do this, we're gonna get millions of views.
13 million views sneaking into Mr. Beast's warehouse. How did you get the idea of it, or what did you do exactly with this video?
These guys approached me, and it was sometimes it's a simple question of just like, what do you think of this? And I get hit up a lot like, hey, how do I make this a little bit better? I just destroyed that thumbnail that they approached me with. I said, we need to fix this up, make it a little more clear. We highlighted Mr. Beast's face because, you know, obviously he's probably the most clickable thing here. Got his warehouse in there. I wanted a little like car sticking out of the garage. They didn't. That was fine. We compromised. 13 million views. I mean, it was really easy. Like the fact that we were like, okay, we got a video with Mr. Beast. What's the best thing to do? Right? So Mr. Beast is obviously super clickable. We thought at low value, we could just go visit him. We could interview him. We could just, hey, what's it like in your warehouse? What's your recording process like? But then we were like, what if we could just sneak in? Right? If we could just sneak into his warehouse, maybe see how long we can live in his warehouse. That was it. Sneaking into Mr. Beast's warehouse. Boom. 12 million views. Real easy. Honestly, you can call that like pretty low hanging fruit. The team that we have makes it possible, right? When you have good editors and good thumbnail artists and everything's just really good and refined, you could just turn a video like that could be, you know, 100K for somebody else into a 12 million view video. So no big secrets with that one. Sneaking into Mr. Beast's warehouse is just gold. That's it. So I made the thumbnail a little bit better for these guys. That's it. They hired me. We worked together for years. Great guys, good friends. Yeah.
Was that the start of you working with them?
That was the start of working with them. And that was about 2 years after I kind of started doing this like full time on the back end of YouTube thing. So they hired me at that point. We came up with a good number. I started working monthly for them. I started not only like planning thumbnails and video ideas, reviewing edits was a big one to make sure that we had the most retention, the highest retention possible. But also eventually started actually doing their thumbnails. We had artists kind of coming in and out, but it's just, it's obviously a high value skill in YouTube to be able to make really high quality thumbnails. And the fact that I could like take what an artist had done and still improve upon it just a little bit more, awesome, and so that's it. I would just get the PSDs, we'd make the thumbnails even better. Once A/B testing came out, apply multiple variations, and then that was it, just to get every video optimized to get the most views possible.
I see you focused a lot on the thumbnail here. What's like one underrated tip that people forget for thumbnails?
Oh, yeah, I got a good one for you. As you probably know, Richard, and I think you teach on this a lot, if your concept sucks, doesn't matter how good you make your thumbnail, your video is going to not perform as well, right? So if your concept sucks, you can have the best thumbnail in the world, doesn't matter. So you have to have a good concept. Then the thumbnail is all about, and I hear some people say like, well, you got to have 2 or 3 elements on your thumbnail. That might be true. It may not be true. The reason that people say that, if you dig a little bit deeper, is because 2 to 3 elements makes it much clearer to see what the value of the video is, right? So you can have 1 element. You can have 100 elements on your video, like the Mr. Beast, the famous, like his head in 1 million Orbeez. You could technically count that as 2 elements, or you can count that as like 1 million elements. It doesn't matter though, because it's all about clarity of value. So you ask, what's the tip? You need to know what people will be most likely to click on, and then you have to highlight that in the clearest way possible. That's it. You can make a cool picture. You can be really good at graphic design. But the thing that is the most clickable and will get people to go, man, I need to see this. I got to click this right now. That's got to be it's got to be clear. So that's it. So I would say clarity of value. Like there's no better way to say it. Clarity of value. What's the most clickable thing? Make it as clear as possible. That way people, their brains, right, their brains get to the point where they need to see what you put in front of them. They're just like, I can't even scroll anymore. I've got to be able to, I got to click those.
Do you have other, like, let's say, checklists that you go through to make a good thumbnail?
Yeah, mentally I do. I used to have a literal like checklist, but it's all kind of mental now. It's just kind of like you develop an instinct, and that instinct is once you do it so many years, right? Since I'm 10 years into YouTube, I guess probably 11 years now, I've done it myself. I've done it for other people. You develop an instinct of what do people want, and what's the thing that. And I guess we could jump into this now. I use an analogy a lot. Have you ever played the game The Sims? As ridiculous as this sounds, it's something I talk about in consultation calls. And even years later, people will message me and be like, dude, that Sims analogy just lives at the top of my mind always. So in The Sims, when they're learning a new skill, they have that bubble above their head, right? That like, and it fills up with the green. And once you get that bubble filled, they level up, right? So think of every person that comes to your video, think individually, and then think as a collective group of millions of people. You need to fill that bubble above their head. We all have that bubble in our heads. People listening to this podcast right now, we're either filling their bubble or we're not. I mean, that's your job as a 1 of 10 podcast host is to go, man, I've got to get people on that can fill the bubble. They got to have knowledge that can fill this bubble. So everything that I do when I go into a thumbnail is like, what are the pieces, the elements, the format, everything is what will fill the bubble the most. So when I'm going through and I'm creating a thumbnail, sometimes it's as simple as this format has worked for everyone who's tried it. One of the it's so silly, but one of the examples that I bring up a lot is that like cutting through layers of cardboard. For anybody who hasn't seen these videos, there are like hundreds of these videos of people cutting through layers of cardboard. Why does it work? I mean, you and I could probably talk for like the next couple days and theorize over why millions, tens of millions want to watch people cut through cardboard. But it's the same format every time, right? There's a proven format that works. People might call it copying. Others might call it, well, this is just the way people want it. It's kind of like music. Like there's certain chord progressions that people expect the music to come in. And if your chord progressions are off, it doesn't sound like music that they're used to. Therefore, they might be resistant to it. So when I'm going through thumbnails, and I know you know this, and every top level YouTuber knows this, you got to find the formats that people's brains are already like, this is familiar to me. I like this. Then when you work on top of that, so if you got this familiar format, let's take the cardboard example, right? So you've got your wall, you've got someone standing in front of it with like a tool, could be a hammer, could be a chainsaw, could be 2 chainsaws, doesn't matter. And then you've got a hole cutting through and you see like the light of day, right? So that would be a format that you would want to follow and copy precisely. Now, if you look across YouTube, and it doesn't matter if it's gaming or fitness or IRL or whatever, there's just formats that it just, whoever uses it, they seem to work, right? One of them that we're seeing that's popping up is pretty common now is like the weapon, the tool that's like attacking usually a human, like a dummy skull or something like that, and there's weapons coming. I keep seeing that pop up. I can't remember who came up with that. I think I know, but I can't forget his name, and he would be mad at me for forgetting his name.
Right. I mean, I came up with that.
You came up with that. All right, Richard. Hey.
Talking about the whip with the phone and the hole in the middle.
Yes,
yeah, I came
beautiful.
Up with that.
Right. Okay.
That's so
beautiful.
Funny.
Now I'm not going to go any deeper than you. So you came up with that. Now every once in a while, let's say that was completely unique and original, which we can get deep in the conversation. You were inspired from somebody who's inspired from somebody. Anyway, you've got this beautiful format, and it's like every channel, there could be 15 different channels. It could be a big channel, small channel, doesn't matter. They try this format, and for some reason, it is extremely successful, right? And that's why 1 of 10, like you guys have outlier research and stuff. You see these people just say, okay, they find this. It's almost like digging for diamonds, where they go, this format for some reason just hits with everybody. So I try to make sure there is plenty of room for uniqueness and originality on YouTube, but you also want to fit within the confines of what people expect. tech people know this. They call it Jacob's Law, right? Where if you're designing an app or a website, you can't just go willy-nilly do whatever you want. There is a format that people expect you to follow. If I have a banking app, I expect it to show my accounts. I expect it to show the numbers that's in my accounts, give me a total down here. How do I transfer, things like that. If you try to go off course and make something unique, and you can call it innovative, the audience would call it confusing and not of high value and not high functionality. So anyways, when I'm making a thumbnail, that's the basis. Is you want to dig and find, well, what's working for pretty much everyone who tries this. There can be multiple. So if I have a really good video idea, we'll literally sketch out like 4 or 5 different proven formats of, if we try any one of these, they have a high chance of working. And then all you do is, it's kind of like ad libs. YouTube is a lot like ad libs, as you guys know. It's kind of like you end up doing like a fill in the blank situation where it's like, okay, instead of iPhone guy holding whip, it's now human skull guy holding nunchucks, right? Or pumpkin guy holding rocket launcher, right? I mean, any of those things, but the format is good. You can still innovate and be original with the idea, but the format is successful. That's why all Hollywood movies, something I show in my calls is like, how many movies are just like an eyeball, right? It's just a rectangular movie cover with just an eyeball, or like superhero movies are all the same. It's the same thing. They know that there's a format that people expect. So yeah, I mean, other than that, with a thumbnail, that's about it. You know, that's the basis. That's the starting point.
To give you some context on the whip with the phone, basically the whip idea came because we were looking at shorts, and there were like whip videos getting tens of millions of views at the time. So we're like, all right, but no one had done a long form video for whip specifically in his style, right? There were other like, you know, sound of whip, metallic whip going hard. But then we did that, and that banged right away. And for the thumbnail, basically he had done in the past, like you said, not a skull, but a body being cut with a sword, in a certain perspective. So we did it on the other side perspective. But then I was struggling on which object to do, right? Because we were thinking, okay, maybe splitting a car, but then that's too unrealistic. So I was like, all right, what's something that everyone will understand that if it breaks, it's actually pretty strong, but still realistic. And a phone, everyone understands it. People have dropped it. And so that's how the hole in the phone happened.
Yeah, that was your fill in the blank. You could have whipped anything in the world. But when we talk about, like, it's kind of funny, the term I use is bubble fillers, right? You decided that the iPhone was the thing that would get people's bubble to fill the most, right? Sometimes, like, if you would have picked like a gumball, the color might have filled a kid's bubble. You know what I mean? If you're trying to reach like a younger audience. But an iPhone will fill a kid's bubble more. Like you said, it's something you really don't want to destruct. It's almost like the opposite of something you should do. You protect your phone. And here we are just whipping it in half. I mean, that's genius, man. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what audience you're reaching, but iPhone was brilliant because you're getting a younger audience who understands, an older audience, male, female, doesn't matter. You're reaching everybody. Yeah, I didn't know you were behind that, Richard. Hey, props to you.
Love that.
Yeah, you started a whole trend as far as I know, unless you got it from somewhere. I don't know. One of my favorite quotes on YouTube, and I think it was Albert Einstein, he said, the secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. And I'm just being honest. It was when I started YouTube, I was like, that's a good point. And now that I am many, many years into YouTube, I'm like, this is just the truth. Everybody who comes up with a good idea, nothing is truly original, right? The Bible says like nothing is new under the sun. If I'm learning guitar, which I did like 15 years ago, I was like, I just want to learn guitar. What's the first thing I did? I looked up all my favorite artists. I looked up how they play their songs, and I just like copied their songs to learn how to get my own feel into the music. So
no, I mean, that's what I always say. Everything is a remix. That's why I created One of 10, because everything is a remix, and you can just inspire from a viral idea from here, viral concept from here, mix it up, and boom, you remix. Like this table is a remix, this piano is a remix, everything, this microphone. So yeah. And that's why we built oneof10.com, a tool that helps creators like you do the same, but 100 times easier. The tool helps you find viral video ideas already working in your niche. It then analyzes the millions of outliers in the database to help you generate your titles and thumbnails that match your channel. For example, it can create thumbnails in the style of Beluga, or even create variations of thumbnails from just a title. And this works in any niche. No more wasting hours brainstorming concepts and designing on Canva. And one creator even used 1 of 10 to combine a viral idea with a high-performing thumbnail concept. The result? Her most viewed video ever with over 2 million views. And the best part, with code POD20 you'll get 20% off for life. So if you want to grow your channel faster, join thousands of YouTubers and head over to 1of10.com. Now back to the pod. Talking about insane thumbnails, this video got 2.5 million views, so surviving 50 hours in a dangerous swamp. How do you think about it?
So yeah, so this one, and it's kind of like the Mr. Beast one. Some of them are just so easy. You know, putting Mr. Beast's face on a thumbnail. And I know from my own, like this is my YouTube plaque right here from my own channel. And I'm just gonna like divulge here a secret of YouTube. All right, you put a popular person's face on a thumbnail has a higher chance of doing more views. I know it's shocking, right? We're digging deep into the strategies here, but like, you know, when I used to do Fortnite tips and stuff like that, which I never had a plan for Fortnite. Fortnite to me was always like, I did Stardew Valley content, I did tips, and I was, you know, me being a fourth grade teacher, it was like, I started YouTube because I thought, I want clean content, because they were watching some not so clean, you know, questionable content on YouTube. I thought if I could just do clean content for kids to watch and learn, why not? I love teaching, I love YouTube. I thought, let's just do that, right? So that all of a sudden one day I made a tips video on Fortnite, and it popped off. It took 2 weeks, but this thing just all of a sudden exploded. I woke up in the morning, I showed my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's getting like 2,000 views an hour. This is crazy. Little did I know it would be like life changing, right? So there's a whole story, there's a whole testament to like trying new things on your channel, okay? As time went on, obviously I learned in Fortnite that there were some big names, big faces. And of course, there's a whole discussion on the ethics and stuff of using people's namesake and you know, getting views off of their name. I use that. I mean, I try to do it in the best way possible. But like Ninja, he's a big name. He was a big face. If I had news and updates to discuss or a story to tell about Ninja, it was going to get 50 to 100,000 more views. Now I can imagine the comments are like, oh, so that's it. Just, you know, just copy. But that's not all. Obviously you have to make a good video to go along with it and give, information in an interesting way that keeps people watching for a long period of time. So with this one, yeah, and it's fine. Yeah. So being that, I guess the point is that some of them are so easy. Sometimes you just slap something on there and it's so obvious. And in this case, we were going to a really dangerous place. Here's a picture of it. That's it. And so in the original thumbnail, and here's the other lesson is like, sometimes just do what has already worked before. And I think you and I discussed, Richard, if not, they had a video that had already got like 20 million views or something like that. It was at the top of the channel. Most dangerous hotel, I believe, was the title. You're going to have to correct me, throw it up on the screen, whatever. So all we had to do with this video, and again, like I can't sit here and like pat myself on the back, literally just a picture of a dangerous place sometimes is all you need. Sometimes simplicity. And again, when we talk about clarity of value, that place looked pretty scary. Now, can we increase the saturation of the water? Can we, you know, change the clouds in the sky? Can we'll add like a little helicopter. Sometimes we'll add little birds. Sometimes it's just, you know, because it was a trend. Sometimes it's me with an arrow. That's it. There was another video that we did as well. I can't remember if we talked about this, but we had this video where we went to a dangerous swamp down in the south. All right. And it's, yeah, some swamps have alligators and stuff like that. We thought, well, what's the best way to portray this as valuable and clickable? So we thought an alligator, right? When we're talking formats, one of the most popular formats that's ever existed on YouTube is like somebody underwater with a shark swimming behind them, right? Like Mark Rober did this, Mr. Beast did this, I think Stokes Twins did this. And there was like, you know, a little blood in the water and the shark was coming. We thought, let's mimic that. Let's have Andrew underwater with like an alligator behind him. Didn't work. I thought, hey, can you guys get me a picture of you guys holding your hands like this? I'll put an alligator in your hands, because I think it was Outdoor Boys. He had a real picture. Speaking of real pictures and simplistic, him holding an alligator over the back of his shoulders, which is just gold, right? It's so clickable. He doesn't have to do anything to it. Classic Outdoor Boys style. We tried a whole bunch of different things. The thing that worked took 30 minutes and a little AI, and it was an AI creation of a little house in the middle of an endless looking scary swamp with nothing. That was it. Little house, swamp, me and an arrow. That's it. And that video took off. Like you can literally see the bend and it just exploded. That was it. And so it was proven. It was a proven format that worked for them, had worked for other people. That's all we had to do. We were putting so much time and effort and hours and money into something that we thought would be a good format. And then all it took was 30 minutes, some AI, me and an arrow, and just millions of more views, literal millions of views, therefore many thousands of dollars based off 30 minutes in an AI picture. It's crazy. Simplicity won in that case.
You who's worked with them very closely, what do you think makes them stand out, right? Because they got 2.6 billion views long form, which is insane. What stands out for them?
Okay, so this is a really good question, and it's a big question. I think a lot of YouTubers probably need to hear this here. Obviously, have as many good ideas as you can. If you're uploading once a week, you got basically four Saturdays in a month. They better all be bangers. Okay, the thumbnails have to be as good as they can. The editing team is amazing. There's like typically 3 editors on hand in staff. They just live in their little office all day, every day editing, and they're amazing. Everybody on the team's incredible. What I think sets these guys apart is they are so likable and enjoyable. They are just through years. I mean, we're talking like Justin and Andrew have done YouTube for 15 years. They started off as pranks way back in the day. Like they built these. I guess I can say this as a teacher. I wouldn't have been the YouTuber that I was if I wasn't a teacher for many years. You have to learn social skills, be able to communicate and make things entertaining that maybe aren't the most entertaining things, right? That's a skill that a YouTuber has to have, is the viewer will perceive it as exciting. As if you tell them it's exciting. So they know how to build natural suspense. They're just very likable people, which I think is an underrated stat on YouTube, is just overall enjoyability is the word that I use. If you are more enjoyable than other people, you can get away with lesser thumbnails. You can get away with not as good of ideas. Some of these guys have insanely good ideas, insanely good thumbnails, but on camera, they just, I don't mean to be rude, but they fall apart. You have to work on your communication skills. And with that comes relating with an audience. Your audience has to feel like they know you and they want to root you on and things like that. So Justin and Andrew they've always been so good about that. And Isaac joined the team later, and everybody who joins this JSTU team, you can throw them on camera and they're phenomenal. They feel like they're just your best friend as a viewer. And I think that's what really set them apart.
You started that answer with ideas, right? I'm curious, what's your full process? And maybe we can go with the other creator you've worked with, Fulton family.
Yeah,
right?
Fulton.
Yep. What's your process there?
Yeah. So this is another, like, I'll give you the simple version and then I'll give you the complex version. The simple version is with Fulton, talking about what we just talked about with having this act. I call it a perfected act. It's kind of like a comedian, right? They're just funny, or they're not going to appeal to everyone. But let's say you shout out to Omaha, Nebraska for some reason, because it's coming to my mind. Let's say a comedian is on stage in Omaha, Nebraska, which maybe it is a more populated area. I don't know. But you're trying to get on the big stage in Los Angeles or New York City, right? Well, you have to perfect this act. You have to have it so refined. You have to test jokes. Did the audience laugh? If so, what degree did the audience laugh? Once you have this built up, you can go out, stand on a stage anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can go to any game, do any IRL challenge on YouTube. It's kind of like Preston, right? Preston's just been in the mix, Unspeakable. Some of these guys, Mr. Beast he's a perfected act. They can you give them content to cover, they will turn it into the most exciting version possible. Fulton makes it so easy on me in that sense. All right. So when we're talking about Fulton, which pretty incredible, I don't know if you saw the tweet, Richard, but we hit 99.9 million in the month of May. Not all long form views, but about 95% long form views, which we're proud of. We just wanted 100 million. And I'm just like, I think my tweet was, you got to be kidding me, guys. 99.9. And it was like, I think it was 920,000, 99,920,000. We were missing 80,000 people is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, Fulton makes it very easy on me. So when we talk about the ideation process, I have to go less, I get to go less deep. I just have to look around YouTube and go, what can I feed this guy that will get millions of views? Sometimes it's a combination. We were talking about like formats, proven success. These are all things that all the top YouTubers know. I don't even think it's a secret for anybody who's watching this video right now and who watches your podcast. It should not be a secret now that one of the best things you can do on YouTube is just look around and go, what's working? That's it. So that's the first step. What's working? Because at the core of it, you're looking at what do people want and how can I give that to them? Okay, this is every industry ever. Clothing. If Adidas, for some reason, which they already obviously have this, Adidas can look at Nike and go, what's selling a lot? Hoodies in this certain style? Okay, let's do that too. I mean, that's YouTube, right? Does it mean Adidas is copying Nike? No. Like Android and iPhone, there's always a battle. As soon as Android puts something out, iPhone comes out with it too. Is it copying? It's just a matter of going, okay, people want this. How can we be the ones to give that to them? So with Fulton, it's literally just him as a creator, me just feeding him ideas. And this all started from like a consultation call about a year and a half ago. He was at about 10 million views. We had one call, and I'm very proud of this. I worked so hard for these, right? So not to pat myself on the back too much. He went to about 20 million. He dropped down to about 15 million, right? He came back for a second call, and I said, well, what's your team like? And he goes, well, it's just me. I'm like, are you out of your mind? At 15 million a month, like an editor, a thumbnail artist, and just you coming up with all this? And so I was like, let me just give you some ideas. So the ideas I started feeding him was basically like, this has worked in other niches. This has worked just in Roblox. Sometimes it's as easy as going back, and we got to remember in YouTube, there's entire generations that flow through every like couple years, right? So if I go to a video that's, let's say there's a game that was popular like 4 years ago, I know it'd still be popular now, but 4 years ago, 15 channels or something got like anywhere from 1 million to like 14 million views, right? I'm going to tell Fulton probably to try that. The next process is you ask, so you asked if I had a checklist, right? Mentally, I do. I used to have a literal checklist, and I would send this out to, it was like a free, help guide to everybody. It was the first thing is, has this proven to be able to get 1 million views? Like, that's it. Like, that's, to me, that is the number one most important question that I can ask myself when I'm coming up with ideas in some way, shape, or form. It could have been from an old kids TV show, right? If we're doing like role play kids Minecraft content, like a boy sleeping into the girl's sleepover, or a boy sneaking into the girl's sleepover, will he get caught? That's been in so many movies ever, right? So in movies, they call them tropes, but those things can be brought over to YouTube. So you don't have to look at just YouTube when you're coming up with ideas for things that have worked before. It could be movies, it could be TV shows, it could be, I don't know, businesses and stuff like that, depending on what niche you're in. But yeah, so it's literally just like, what is working? What do millions of people want to see? How can we give that to them? Cutting through cardboard. Why do people want to watch that? I don't know, but maybe I'll have Fulton cut through cardboard and we'll be laughing the whole time going, why do people watch this, right? I don't know, but this video is probably going to get 5 million views. And here's what we want to make it look like, the thumbnail, the idea. Here's the general structure that people expect from it. So when I'm giving him Roblox ideas, sometimes it's like a combination of things that have been successful. Sometimes it's like I go to other niches and I'm pulling out ideas that have worked that I'd have to twist just a little bit to apply. I wish I had like specific examples here, but other than that, the entire question is like, has this worked before at an extremely high level, and how can we make this work for us? And that's it. And I load up a Trello board, I pitch him ideas. He's got a great filter of, does he have a vision for it? I guess I would say this is the final process, is when I'm pitching ideas, the creator has to see the vision for it too. Because even if the idea is proven, maybe it's been done before, we can innovate on it, and we should innovate on it. In the end, the creator has to put their own originality on it, if that makes sense. We can follow the general structure, but they're going to say the words that they want to say that no one else has said. This is what makes it unique. No one can be them unless you're literally stealing a script, which I guess some people have done before on YouTube. Every once in a while you see the Twitter storm. You're original. It's still original and it's still innovative.
You arrived at 15 million a month, and it's at now 100 mil a month. What do you think made it blow up in the past year?
When I join a channel, one of the words that I use a lot is just brain power. Like, you don't always know what will have a great effect or a small effect. Ideas to me will just always have the greatest effect. Like, if you can just provide big ideas, and that's something I do with these guys. Like, I've been working with some of them for years now. A lot of my value is just, here's a good idea, let's do it. So with Fulton, that was one of the big things that I could do, is just say, if we do this, we're going to get millions of views. And he says, okay, and we do it. He still has a great brain for it. Like, he still knows what makes a good idea. Could he have just done it himself? We'll never know. I'll even say maybe. That's the thing I have to be careful about. And this is just anybody who's interested in doing what I do, or anybody who's out there doing what I do, like you, Richard. It's like, I can't take Fulton to 100 million myself. Like, he still has to know YouTube. And so I can supply him all day and here's good ideas, but then there's always little bits of guidance. Hey, make sure in recording, do this. The editors, when you do an edit review or something like that, hey, cut this part out. We'll lose people here. I'll coach on every aspect of YouTube, and it's never one thing. So if I could say clearly, ideas are the biggest needle mover. If you can supply somebody with good ideas, they can just go, right? But then obviously there's thumbnails. What should we do? Especially when it's daily gaming content. It's like every single day there's going to be a new thumbnail. He's not only going to need help managing all that, but he's also going to need that brain power that I talk about of knowing what's going to get the most views. Because at his level, we're talking about the difference between 500,000 and 5 million, right? A thumbnail could change that. I mean, that's the effect that an idea or a thumbnail could have on his channel. So, other than that, it's like, it's just teaching, it's guiding, it's, hey, we got demonetized or something. We got an age restriction on this video. Do you know any YouTube partner managers that could help us out? Everything. I literally just do. When people ask me, well, what do you do? I say everything but editing. But then sometimes I even have to edit because the editor didn't show up that day. So I'm like, all right, let's go. I got 2 hours. We got to get this video up. And obviously it depends on the level. It's not like I'm an amazing editor or something. But, I edited my own videos and made my own thumbnails all the way up to 1 million. So it's like, you got to be good enough in those aspects too. But yeah, the needle movers are the ideas. Other than that, everything. It's like the best way to describe it. And you'll know this, Richard, just because you guys do the same thing. If a ship is sailing in the ocean, a little bit of wind can just nudge it onto that path that can take it to Paradise Island down there, right? You can miss a Paradise Island after Paradise Island. You can miss these constantly. But if you have somebody, I feel like my brain is just built to see future scenarios and future paths for a channel. Like, here's a new idea. If this can just hit, this can change our lives forever. Like, I did that on my own channel. You're only talking to me because on my own channel, I was like, here's a new cool game. This is fun. This could be big. And I literally had 3 very successful YouTubers. One of them, a great mentor, my very smart guy. It wasn't his fault. It was just like, we can miss as YouTubers. They told me not to make a Fortnite tips video. Back in the day, Fortnite tips video. And luckily I had that video made, or I wouldn't have, right? I threw it out there. It changed my life. Like, every YouTuber, especially the ones who are out there in the open ocean sailing, not the ones who are sitting at the dock. You can't help them as much. You got to be out there sailing. Somebody like me can come in and just say, all right, a little bit this way, a little bit this way. And those little nudges are what can take you to 100 million views a month. So I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's all me. Like, Fulton's amazing. I just literally told him, like, he gave me a raise, which is really cool because we joked. I go, well, I was half joking about that. And he goes, no, let's work together for a long time, which I really appreciate. I want to be as valuable as possible to these guys. In the end, it's, he makes it possible. He's the ship sailing. I'm just the little nudge. I'm the little, the wind that directs you a little bit left, a little bit right until you get to like a paradise, right? Until you arrive on the island. So that's where we're at. 100 million. Now we're at like, now we're like, hey, 250 million, no breaks. Let's go. If somebody's done it before, let's do it too. Yeah.
Talking about helping him a lot. One of those videos got 6.9 million views. I found a fake Fulton scamming, so I exposed him. How does that idea come up, and why does such a video blow up?
So these are ones that YouTubers kind of laugh about. Any adult, and especially like I'm an older guy now. All right. So I can look at kids roleplay content. And as a YouTuber, you have to learn this skill. Okay. There's a side of you that can say, this is so stupid and ridiculous. And probably a lot of people watching this, hearing this title or, seeing the thumbnail or whatever are going, this is just silly. But there's also another side of us that has to go, there's a lot of people, a lot of kids that would find this content very enjoyable. And so role play, I guess would be the word, pretending. Okay. There will always be a place on YouTube where you can role play and pretend. And as long as the concept is good and the creator can pull it off, you can do anything you want. And in fact, like think about this in terms of reach. So we say the word reach a lot as a YouTuber. You want to try to reach millions of people. You have to be good enough to reach as many millions as possible. That's how you make it on YouTube. What this does is the concept that we applied to this video and this game, Roblox, extends beyond Roblox. You don't even have to like Roblox to be able to watch a concept like this. Now, is it obviously people get in and go, I like Roblox, cool, continue to watch. Or some people are just like, I hate Roblox. Like me, Richard, I don't like Roblox. I just don't
even play it.
I don't even play Roblox. I'm not interested in it, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't come up with concepts of people like me who are just like, I'm not interested in Roblox, but this story that you're telling on top of it, this is really interesting. And that's what we call like the canvas versus the painting. That's why kids can watch GTA videos. And I work with some GTA creators. You're not running people over. You're not like, you're not causing, when you think of GTA, it's a chaotic game. That is not a kid-friendly game. But all of a sudden you're upgrading like Spider-Man or something in GTA, right? GTA doesn't even matter anymore. You're watching this Spider-Man just get cooler and cooler and cooler. So it's important as a YouTuber. And specifically with this video, one of our goals was like, okay, Roblox is cool. In this case with Fulton, he was doing Blade Ball, which is a very specific niche game in Roblox. We thought, how can we reach not only outside of Blade Ball, which the channel was 100% Blade Ball. How do we reach outside of Blade Ball? And possibly how do we reach outside of Roblox? And literally that question, that's what you asked a second ago. And this was the big thing. I joked with him one time. The channel was 100% Blade Ball. And I was like, dude, Blade Ball is holding us back. And he's like, what are you talking about? This is my whole channel. My whole channel is Blade Ball in Roblox. And I'm like, dude, if we can just get outside to all of Roblox, we're going to win. And you know what I joke about now? If you go look at Fulton's channel, I joked with him. I go, dude, Roblox is holding us back. And he goes, what? And I'm like, we're never going to stop doing Roblox. Obviously, Roblox is like one of the most highest ceiling things you can do on YouTube right now. It's insane. Anybody who's not familiar with Roblox, I don't care if you're into it or not, Roblox is where to go on YouTube right now for gaming content. It's crazy. But I joked with him. I go, Roblox is holding us back. And you know what I had him do was a VR video. Now, this wasn't hard. Like I don't want to sit here and confuse people to think that this job is always hard, that you need to spend 15 hours coming up with an idea. Sometimes it takes 20 minutes. Okay. So what I did was I knew this from another creator that I work with where this game, I think it was called, what was the first one we did? One of the more recent ones, we'll use this as an example, was called Titan's Clinic. Every channel that does this game, Titan's Clinic, it's a VR game, does extremely well. We're talking many millions of views. I go, Fulton, call me crazy, dude, but do you have a VR headset? He said, I have a MetaQuest 3. I said, let's do this. Because if this hits, dude, this is going to open a door to a whole different path, right? To make, and honestly, it's made Roblox views look small because all of a sudden he's at like 3 some million views and it's the top video on the channel running constantly for him. Basically he had a great act. We had a great game, a great video idea. He reached many more millions of people because they weren't limited by Roblox. So anyways, yeah, with that video idea, role play is always good. But the main idea from that one is reach outside of your niche, make your videos so they're applicable so anybody can watch. Like my Fortnite videos, yeah, I'm talking about Fortnite tips. But if you go back to some of my old videos, I'm talking about life, and I'm talking about like, hey, by the way, if you guys are having a hard time right now, just know there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like people will watch it just for like, because they enjoy you, because they want to see what you're doing. It doesn't matter if they like Fortnite or not. Some of the Stardew Valley fans came over and watched my Fortnite videos because they were like, I just want to support Denver. And I like what Denver talks about in his videos, even though it's Fortnite tips. So anyway, may not be the best example, but always think, how can I reach more people outside of my current niche? That's how you get to 100 million. That's how you hit that next level.
It's a question not just for this gaming channel specifically, but everybody. A lot of people are maybe stuck in their niche, right? Too stuck in that small audience size, total addressable market. How did you switch from that to basically super broad for Fulton? Because I know a lot of Roblox channels, they stick to one game, right? Like Blox Fruits or whatever else, and they don't move. What would you recommend to make the move?
Yeah, so I look at it as more of like, I guess you would call it a calculated approach. Everything that you do on YouTube has a cap. Everything. The way we speak has an audience where you'll get to a point where people are like, I just don't like the way that he talks. And that's it. Like everything that we do and how we do it and the videos that we make has a cap. So if you think about something like Blox Fruits, right? You might be totally fine with having let's say you do everything right. You might hit 30 million views a month or something like that. That's totally fine. And you can exist within that cap forever. I'll use Fortnite tips for it as an example because that's where I came from. My cap was probably back in the day, 5 million. All right. No matter what I did, I could have the greatest videos. And in fact, I've talked to people about this. They're in a 2 million view cap. They make amazing videos, better than some of these Roblox kids who are getting 50 million views a month. He will never, I could think of one guy, he will never break out of 2 million views per month. And in fact, if he does, he'll hit 2.2 and that's it. Now, if he took his skills and his style and he just jumped over to something else, he doesn't have to. Remember, you can be passionate about it. You can be okay with 2 million views a month. That might be $10,000, $12,000 a month. That's awesome. But let's say you take those skills and you move to a different niche that has a higher cap, you can even perform worse and you'll still get more views and still get more money. So I think I'm forgetting your question here, but I think I'm answering it. Remind me if I get off track here. But you have to think about, what do I want my limit outside of the things I control, my limit to be? So for Fulton, Roblox has a cap. What did I do? I said, let's do VR. Because the VR, you can watch VR, Richard. You may not watch Roblox, but my son is not, I have a 7-year-old son. He's not interested in Roblox. We sat there and we watched this Fulton video where he's basically beating up fruit. I think it was called Fruit Surgeon. So stupid, but it's hilarious. Anybody who watches this video can look at it. And remember I said, there's two sides to a YouTuber. You can go, this is so stupid and ridiculous, but I can see the value in this. This is legit. This is good content. And if you watch a Fulton video, you can just see like he has the ability to reach outside of that. VR and Roblox, now we're moving up our cap, right? Our limit, our hard limit. No matter how good we do, we want to move into the bigger areas where there's just, I don't know, I'm sure there's a business term for it. It's a wider ocean. It's, what do they call it? Blue ocean, red ocean. Either way, there's just many more millions of people who are available to watch what you're doing. If you can reach into that, you win. Same with Stardew Valley. Literally, I know I brought this up again. I brought this up a couple times. I'll bring it up again. I made the same video. It was a Stardew Valley common mistakes. And then I made a Fortnite common mistakes. Fortnite just took off and changed my life. It was the same video, Richard. Like if you go back and you listen, the script was the same. I was the same. The thumbnail was almost the same. Everything was the same. One video was in a higher cap, a higher available audience. And because of that, my life changed. That's it. So hone those skills in and then think, am I limited by my niche? Do I want to move? Do I even want, or do I like where I'm at? That's fine. You could stay where you're at. You don't have to chase money. You don't have to chase views, but always have it in your mind of like, how could I reach a wider audience?
How did you actually start that channel, by the way? Because you were a teacher, and it grew to how many million subscribers? And
Yeah, I hit a million. I hit a million, which back in my day, hitting a million was awesome. Like you were in the top percentage. Now everybody does, and especially with shorts, everybody's a million, right?
what year was that?
If I had to guess, 2018. I would
Okay,
say.
yeah, around the Fortnite.
I'd say 2018. I can't remember when I really started leaning in. So I was a teacher. I was in my end of first year or second year of teaching as a fourth grade teacher. I had a cousin who just did YouTube, and I thought maybe I can do that too. And that was it. Like, so anybody who's like, should I start a YouTube channel? Absolutely. That was it. I was just a teacher, and I thought, that'd be cool if I could do something like this. I did not know how to make thumbnails, graphic design, nothing, no editing skills, nothing. I had no clue how to do any of this. And I was just like, maybe this could be something. And I just started, and that was it. And it was a very slow grind. I just thought, I love gaming. I love teaching. What if I could just teach video game tips? And that's what I did. And that was it. And eventually I switched over just because, when we talk about higher caps, right? Tips is limited. Plus, it takes way more time. I would spend 40 hours on a video, hopefully get 100K. Or if I could talk about news, all of a sudden I realized I'm like, man, I could spend 4 hours on a video, literally 4, start to finish. And I would script my videos even, make the thumbnails. I would edit them 4 hours, be out. They would get 300, 400,000 views. It was incredible, right? So I hit that higher ceiling. But the way I started was just, I like teaching. It scratches that itch. I love teaching, doing stuff like this. I love gaming. Plus, I wanted clean content for my students, and that was it. I didn't make much money. It took about a year before I saw I think $10. I think it was $10 or $12. And I went to my wife and I go, we got Netflix for free this month. And we were like so excited. And eventually that turned into I think I got an $80 or $100 month. And I go, oh my gosh, our cell phone bills are paid for this month. Like, this is crazy. That's how I was relating it every step of the way. There was one time, and I think I made $1,000 in a month. And I went, whoa. It was late at night, probably 11 o'clock. We're about to go to bed. I had to work the next day. And I thought, this could be something. And I told her, I go, this could really be something. And sure enough, a couple years later, and of course my students loved it. I would tell them, hey, if you guys are good at the end of the year, I'll show you my channel. So I still have old clips of me revealing, it's like me at 7,000 subs in my class, watching my videos up on the screen. Awesome memories. I taught fourth grade for 4 years. A new school opened up. And I thought it would be kind of fun to do PE. No, not as many meetings, not as much grading. I love being a fourth grade teacher. I would go back today, honestly, especially if they paid more. They'd have to pay more. It's ridiculous what teachers are paid. Anyway, I start teaching PE for 2 years. I've got much more time on my hands. Fortnite's popping off. I'm spending time with my wife, my son, who's 1 year old at the time. And I'm coming home from school, and my wife makes me a big, thermos about this big of coffee, and I just chug it, and I work till midnight, 1 a.m. every night. And this is what people don't see, right? You, Richard, you put more time in than what most people realize. And that's sometimes I come up with a good video idea, and maybe in this podcast I make it sound easy, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes 3 hours to come up with a really good idea. You'll have 50 ideas and you need to select one, right? So me teaching all day, coming home exhausted, chugging coffee, working all night, and doing that for about 2 years. 2 years. And less time with my family, which killed me at the time. But it was I saw this vision and I knew it. I don't know if people can feel this. I knew that I could do this. This is just how my mind is. I'm it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm missing time with my son when he's 1 year old, which is just, I've got 3 kids now. And guess what? I get to spend all the time in the world with them. It's amazing. I work from home. One's at preschool, one's in school now, one's almost 2. I get to see them way more than I ever. And it's because I put that time in. I had to work my butt off, I'll put it that way, to make this dream come true. It's a dream. It took a lot of work. And so that's what you have to do. And that's what I had to do. So it was really cool to go into school. I was teaching PE, 6th grade down to kindergarten. And I knew this was a real thing when a kindergartner comes up to me and he goes, Mr. Moore, are you a YouTuber? And I'm like, yes, I am, and all the kids loved it. Parents were coming up and asking me. Nice. At this point, I'm making pretty good money. And parents are like, so you just upload a video onto
Oh,
YouTube.
God.
You just play a game and you just upload it to YouTube. And I go, oh, there's so much more into it than you even know. And they started asking me how much money I'm making. I'm like, a little inappropriate,
more, right?
but yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it was kind of, my principal caught, well, I say he caught where he followed my journey. Him and I would talk about it. He thought it was a really cool thing, right? He's making good money. He's a principal. I'm making probably 45 grand a year. Not much,
Yeah.
right? YouTube suddenly passes up my teaching income. And I'm going, what am I going to do here? Now, a word of warning to anybody who's considering this and who might get in this same situation. A good mentor of mine, which is very valuable on YouTube, find a good mentor. He told me, make sure you can maintain this for 6 months. I maintained it for a year and 6 months. Finally, it's April. It's April of 2019. April of 2019. I'm like, I've got this decision. Do I resign? Do I come back and teach next year?
At that moment, so 2019, that's like peak, not peak, but it's pretty up there, right? Like how much are you making with YouTube versus the 45K a year?
And before getting into that, let me tell you about how the 1 of 10 strategy team can help you grow your channel much faster and make more money. Our team has directly worked with over 100 YouTubers to grow their channels by optimizing their content, focusing on the right strategy. So for example, here's a video idea, title, and thumbnail that we crafted for Mike Shake that ended up getting 22 million views and being his most popular video of all time. Another example is the content strategy we built for Callaway, helping him go from 0 to 70,000 subscribers and grow a 6-figure business on top of that. And those are only just 2 of many creators the team has worked with in the past 6 years. So if you're ready to take your channel to the next level in the next 90 days with daily support, video reviews, winning ideas, titles, and thumbnails, and even 2 calls per month to answer all your questions, head over to oneoften.com/strategy to book a call.
Man, it was that month. It was April of 2019. Big news broke. Sponsorships were rolling in and stuff like that. I made almost as much in that month of April than I did in a whole year as a teacher. Exactly. And I'm talking like 40 grand. And I'm just going,
that's crazy.
I'd be an idiot not to just take this leap of faith, right? And keep in mind, there's real life things going on. There's students who are watching me. Oh, I can just not do a job and just be a YouTuber. No, right? There's parents, there's teachers who are going, whoa, you're just quitting YouTube or quitting teaching to do this YouTube thing. And not only that, but my wife has a family that wants to make sure that I can provide for her. And it's like, there's so much pressure. But once people see the money roll in, it casts all doubt. I'm not a money person, and YouTube is money does make a difference, right? It is a motivating factor. And when I'm making almost as much in 1 month as a year and a teacher, that made my decision easy. And I turned in my resignation letter, and that was it. It was weird to not go back in August. All the teachers, I see screenshot or posts on Facebook and stuff of all my former students and teachers saying, first day of school. I'm like, this is weird, but I love it. I'm home. I'm just working hard every day. And yeah, that was it. I took the leap, and it was amazing. And here I am probably 7 years later now, full-time YouTube, full-time now what I do, which is basically creative management. So yeah.
And how do you go from now full-time YouTuber Fortnite to now behind the scenes? What happened there?
Funny story, and this is important to tell because I had one guy. He was a mentor of mine, very successful channel. He had a team when not many people had a team. He had like a creative director, kind of manager. He had an editor. He had an analytics guy. Him and I are joking one day, and here's how this happened, Richard. You ready? I joke, hey, if Fortnite dies one day, save a spot for me on your team, right? Because as a YouTuber, you have to know, Fortnite's not going to last forever, even though it is doing very successful, and there's a lot of great Fortnite YouTubers right now. There's still plenty of views to be had. There was a certain point where I was like, I might have to hop off this ship. And so half joking, half serious, I said, save a spot for me on your team, all right? And we kind of laughed. He comes back about a week later and he goes, it was some form of, I wasn't joking, I would hire you in a heartbeat. And I'm like, me, a Fortnite YouTuber? Like, what can I do? What can I possibly add? And luckily, maybe by luck, maybe by chance, he saw something in me and I joined his team and we did work. And not only that, but I loved it. I mean, it was intense. The guy runs a tight ship, and rightfully so. You have to when you're making millions of dollars on YouTube. Like you don't have room for error, right?
Yeah.
I loved it so much because I love teaching, and I love in teaching. We called it aha moments, right? When you teach a kid something, they go, "Oh, no way." My brain still works in that. I'm like, I want to teach. Nice. I want to see you take some knowledge, and I want to see you just run with it and get millions of views. Go change your life, right? I just love that. Well, I loved it so much. I thought, let me just offer my services to someone else. I offered it to a good friend, and we hit 30 million views a month twice. He had never hit 20 before, and we hit 30 million views a month twice. I'm like, hey, I'm all right at this. Again, I can't take all the credit. These are great creators. But again, I come in and they're a sailing ship, and I do what I can, right? I direct them in the ways that I can. And one of the things I say is I save people time, and I make them more money, right? More money than what they charge me. I don't do contracts at all. I don't want somebody to feel stuck with me. I just want to provide value. And if I can't, I will fire myself. And I mean that. I hold myself to these standards. I just know, because since I was a YouTuber, I know what I would have wanted. Eventually, after I hit about 1 million, I found a guy who could kind of be that for me. And I was like, this is awesome. I don't have the time. I've got 2 kids now. Can you help me? And he did. And I gave him 50% of whatever income came in from the videos that he helped on. He edited them, helped me with thumbnails. I'm like, good, I don't have time. These guys, some of them have broken their backs working hard for years. They almost kind of like semi-retire a little bit. They show up, they record, and then somebody like me can make every thumbnail, give them every idea, titles, analytics, A/B testing, handling everything. They get time back in their lives. They still can make a lot of money. Maybe I can't be 100% who they are, but I'm going to be 95%. Or else I'm going to die trying, right? And again, no contracts. So that's, I just moved into this back end work. I call it creative management, because sometimes I am managing full teams. Sometimes I'm just providing ideas, and that's it. That's all they want. It depends on what the creator wants, but it's where can I get in and move the needle? That's what I do now. Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful. While managing 3 kids.
3 kids and a beautiful wife, and nothing is more important. I always say God, family, YouTube. And it's like, that's my life now. I love it. And you probably are the same way, Richard, and your team. I could do YouTube morning till night. And sometimes I do. And I love it.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, there's priorities in life, but then there's just like any other time, any other gap. I'm doing YouTube, and I love it. And I want to get these guys views, not because I think this is a mistake a lot of guys who are in my position do. I don't deserve any more than what these guys are paying me. I said, like, Fulton gave me a raise, right? I don't deserve, he made it possible. All I'm doing is they built the ship. They hung the sails. They're already sailing. I just come in here, I go this way, a little bit this way. And I'm just so grateful and honored that these guys would allow me to be a part of what they made. They deserve all, it's like, I never have this in me. And I think this is the mistake that they make, is some guys think, oh, I gave you an idea. This video got millions of views. I deserve more from you. And that's not the case. It got millions of views because of what they built. That's it. It's because of what they built. If you build a channel from the ground up and you're apart from the process, it's different. But for most of these guys, I joined the channel. I know a lot, but I always approach it with humility. I'm always like, what can I learn from you? But where can I help you steer this ship? That's yeah.
Going with another channel that you work with, Too Hype, right?
Yeah,
Jester and the gang. I'm curious about one specific thing you did with them. You changed a thumbnail that blew up, right? Can you talk about it? Yeah.
So this one, oh man, it's one of the best feelings on YouTube when you can change a thumbnail, like we talked about with JSTU, with that swamp thumbnail. One thumbnail change could literally mean, at this level, tens of thousands of dollars, right? Sometimes you get a hunch. And like I said, you have to approach this with humility. You've got a bunch of creators who are very smart. They know what they're doing. You can't just go in and be like, this is what you should do. But sometimes you do have to do that, right? So when you join a team, and especially Too Hype, they stopped uploading a couple years ago, but this is just such a great lesson and story to tell. All of them kind of wanted this one thumbnail. And it wasn't my original idea. When I pitched this idea, I was like, I had this thumbnail in mind and I needed to see golden gloves. And there's something that YouTubers do, right? Or not YouTubers, excuse me, athletes, especially NFL players. They have 2 gloves and they put their hands up like this. And on the inside of their gloves, it'll be 2 different gloves, but it'll make a picture and they'll hold it up like that. And I was like, man, if we could have like Jesser's eye or something or face peeking through some special type of glove. And in my mind, I'm going golden. It's got to be golden and I want it robotic looking. And I made this just banger thumbnail. And it was like a before after, here's his gloves, here's him making some crazy catch, right? That's nobody was going for that. And I'm like, that's fine. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe I'm off. Well, we put the video out. It's a little bit outside of their wheelhouse. They are a pretty much basketball channel. They do some other things. They had a lot of success with boxing. Overall, trying NFL was not risky, right? But it was slow. And we thought sometimes you incorrectly assign success or not success, lack of success, to a decision that you made. In this case, it could have been very easy to say, let's just not do an NFL video ever again because this just wasn't successful. No, in a meeting, in our very next meeting, Cash, good friend of mine now, Cash, he speaks out and he goes, what about that other thumbnail? And I go, I got it. I already made it. Should we run it? I go, do I have your guys' permission? And remember, there's like 15 people in these calls. It's pretty intimidating. I'm still kind of new to this, years ago when I'm helping these guys. And these are very successful YouTubers. I'm at the stage where I get kind of starstruck by these big YouTubers, right? And I'm like, can we try it, please? And I throw that thumbnail up and just whoop, and just off it goes. And what a feeling, beautiful. It's like, it's a push and pull with what I do. Maybe we never would have tried that thumbnail. We would have never known that we were losing views. But sometimes it's like, you've got to say, I got a good idea. I think we should do this, right? A little risky moving into the NFL. We almost incorrectly assigned and therefore never did another NFL video. But then after that, it was like, oh, it was just the thumbnail could have been better. And that was it. Video took off. So keep messing with those thumbnails. It is a lesson. And I know this is obvious now. YouTube has A/B testing. You never know what format or style of thumbnail can literally change your channel from hundreds to thousands or thousands to millions. So, yep, always mess around with those thumbnails. Keep trying. Especially if YouTube is your full-time job, get your butt on there. Make 10 more different styles and variations of thumbnails. Find out what works. You got to test. You got to find the successful pathways and figure out what people want. And that's what we did. And it was perfect. Beautiful thumbnail. Nailed it. Way more views. It made me worth the money they were paying me.
Guys, remember this, because I always say that as well. You're one video away from changing your life, but you're actually one thumbnail or title change from changing your life. I've seen videos go from 100K stuck to now like 1.5 million views, which I'll put here. You guys will see because it's actually true. And that thumbnail, I think, was changed like 6 months later or something. And I've seen 2 years later changing a thumbnail title, and it still does, I think, from 100K to like 300K, which is crazy.
I get asked that, like, is it too late to save a video? It's never too late. Look at your AVD. Make sure that the video itself was good. But if I see high AVD, and even CTR can be okay. Like some people go, no, it's usually a CTR. Yeah, it's like, well, it's because it's not reaching. You can't always judge it off of that current CTR number. If your AVD is good and you're proving to a lot of people that there's something that people are watching this for a long period of time, throw in a few more thumbnails. What's the worst that you can lose? Maybe some money on a thumbnail artist, some time that you spent. You never know. It could be thousands of dollars different. So yeah, full agreement. Mess with those thumbnails. You never know. Yep.
Spoke about thumbnail. I want to talk about this title. Can 2Hype beat a team of 7-footers? Because I thought that was a very great title. Because that title could have been ruined. Something like, I don't know, 2Hype versus 7-footers team or whatever. And that, or even not putting 7-footers in there. 2Hype versus tall basketball. That would have been horrible. But the fact that you guys wrote as a question like that makes it so intriguing. So I'm curious, well, how do you come up with it?
So on this one, first of all, I love the contrast of this thumbnail. Obviously, 2Hype isn't that short compared to 7-footers. You have to dress it up sometimes, right? Is it clickbaity? No, it's not clickbaity. You need to highlight, when we talk about value clarity of value, like we talked about in the beginning, make them a little bit shorter, make these guys a little bit bigger. they're still way taller than 2 Hype, but you have to make it look even more so. You have to, obviously the more contrast, the better, right? Specifically with the title, we want people to ask questions, right? When the brain has a question that it needs an answer to, which you'll hear people call this the curiosity gap, call it what you want, but this is just how our brain works. If I have a question where my brain is like, I got to have an answer to this, sometimes you just give people that question, right? So even if you have a title that's not a question, you're still hoping that the viewer scrolling by generates a question in their brain. Sometimes the best thing to do is just give them the question to ask. If you know it's going to be really good, like 2 Hype is obviously, if I go back to bubble filler, people will see 2 Hype, the hundreds of thousands of people will be like, I'm watching this. Their bubble's filled. Sometimes 2 Hype is like right here, verse 7 footers. Okay, all the way up. Now I'm clicking, right? So it's literally it was so simple to just say, can they? You don't need more. Can 2 Hype beat like these giants, basically? When you talk about movie tropes, David versus Goliath, small versus big. If you look up tiny versus giant, you're going to see many millions of views. So that's all we did. We capitalized on tiny versus giant. We just said, hey, brains who are scrolling by this, here's your question. And that was it. They were like, I want to know.
Talking about packaging here, I need to ask the expert. What do you think should be the title thumbnail of this video?
Dude, so I kid you not. I wrote, us YouTubers, we can't help it. I wrote down a couple of titles that I think should be thumbnail. I'm not settled yet, but I thought, what's the most clickable thing, right? Because you're trying to get views. What would people be the most interested in? What would be the biggest bubble filler, as I call it? Teacher working with many multi-million-dollar YouTube channels. That would be good, right? Is it better to go former creator? Right? Because, somebody who has 1 million subs who had success on YouTube, why do you leave your channel to go to like the back end work of helping other channels? I'm going to send those to you, Richard. But I would say like former teacher, the former teacher behind, something like that. That might be the best format. The former teacher behind many multi-million-dollar YouTube channels.
Yeah, for sure. We'll play around with it. We'll play with the 1 of 10 title thumbnail generator as well. And
Perfect.
And we'll come up with it. For someone wanting to grow a YouTube channel, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Well, I always say rule number 1, like start, never stop. Nothing that you and I can teach matters if someone just quits uploading. And it's really depressing. Like I've known some people who would have had a dang good shot and they just quit. So rule number 1, start, never stop. All right. Get past the easy one. I would say it is possible for you. I mean, literally, because that's one of the questions is like, do I have the ability? I was a teacher. Yeah, I worked on my communication skills. I knew how to do nothing. I've never done YouTube. I didn't even know what it is. I barely watched YouTube. And it was like, I just figured it out. But I will say, you have to become pretty obsessed with it. Every YouTuber that ever makes it past, I'll even say 100 subscribers, maybe 1,000 subscribers, you become obsessed with it. You start talking to other YouTubers about it. You start looking at stats every single day, even though sometimes it's not healthy for you. Your brain starts to just evolve around YouTube. Everything could be a new video idea, a new intro and hook that you could start the video with. You might be watching movies and all of a sudden you go, whoa, that was a really cool sound effect. I'm going to use that, right? So you kind of become obsessed with it. That's a tip. You become obsessed with it. You have to. If you're not, you probably won't make it. Like, I hate to say it, but I'm like, don't waste your time at that point. Other than that, just like, and we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, just like a musician, learn what the greats do. Study their styles. Feel free to mimic what they're doing. It's okay. I give you permission. If you get one comment that says, oh, you copied insert name, fill in the blank, big popular YouTuber, ignore that comment. Okay. Just you're not stealing. Understand the difference. You're not right clicking, not save as, you're not doing that. But mimic what has worked. The same way, if I want to learn guitar, I might study Jimi Hendrix. If I play his exact song and try to play it exactly like him with the exact timing, I'm not copying him, right? I'm learning my own style by learning what the greats do. So that would be my advice is don't feel like guilt of just saying, I'm going to try to learn the style of this big famous person. There's a lot of YouTubers that are very popular right now that are, I mean, you could call them copies of other big YouTubers. Doesn't matter. They still found their way. They still made their way, and they're still original because nobody can be them. People who copy Mr. Beast, they literally can't be Mr. Beast. You might be able to get pretty dang close. You are still yourself, and you still, I believe, you'll find your own way. But yeah, just like a musician, mimic what works at the start as you find your own way and your own originality.
Well, guys, if you've watched until here, then it means you're obsessed. So you got to subscribe. Let's say you see a YouTube channel as a stock. Who would you invest in, basically?
You're going to cheer for the home team and say, Fulton, we're going to 500 million. But if I pick anybody else, oh, gosh. Oh, Richard, you should have given me a heads up on this one. Okay, smaller channels. Oh, my gosh. I've got big into Pokemon cards. There's some people that show some promise, but Pokemon is limited. So it's like, if I'm looking for the next Tesla, I don't know if it's going to come out of Pokemon cards. I'm one of those nerds that got super into that. My son and I. Great guy, great YouTuber. He's in fitness, which there's no limit in fitness. And I'll say it may not be just in views, but this guy, if he's not a millionaire already, I don't know for sure. I suspect he's going to be. I would say Dr. Mike Diamonds does a fantastic job at making fitness content. Yeah, awesome dude. One of the coolest guys. One of the best teams that I've ever worked with, and I think his ceiling is just he's just such a that one I had to dig that one out. There's probably like 50 Amazing. I can name right now. I'm always looking for game. Yeah, shout out Dr. Mike Diamonds. Anyway, he's awesome. But yeah, gaming YouTubers I think just have the highest ceiling possible. Like these guys. There's just no limit. Gaming is so huge now.
That's funny.
If I had
we actually work with him, so we're definitely.
You currently do?
Hyped. Yeah.
Yay! So if he does well, it'll be because of you guys too. Yeah.
To blow him up. Oh, that's cool.
Tell him I said hi. He's awesome, man.
Lastly, what is your dream? So you're having a great time, having a good life, good family. What's the big dream for the next 30 years?
Oh, man. I'm living it now, Richard. I really am. Something that I hope comes through in my Twitter X account is that YouTube is awesome, but man, life is so much more important. And I do not want the Lambo. I'm not I try to carefully approach this because maybe somebody wants a Lambo. That's fine. Get the Lambo, get the mansion. I just learned that those things don't bring me joy. And what does bring me joy is fulfilling work, which I do, but just a joyful family. And I'll say on the money side, being debt free. That's it. I want to be debt free. Where I'm at now, and in fact, I am. It's so cool. I own a motorhome. We've got two 2024 cars, but they're reasonable. You know, my wife drives a Kia Telluride, and we freaking love it. It's our second Telluride. We didn't need a BMW. We didn't need the Range Rover or anything. So I'm living my dream to where we just have what we need. If I could pay off the house, I want to pay off the house. Other than that, I want to set my kids up. I want to leave something for them someday. That's it. So I want to be debt free. I want to spend time with my family. I want to get creators just as many views as they can, because that's where I find value in my work, is if I'm given value. And then that's it, man. Just serving the Lord, from the Christian side of me, serving the Lord. That's it. It's very simple. And I'm grateful that my brain is okay with that, because sometimes you just want more. And I'm just sure. I don't really want more. I just want to pay off debt. I want to be comfortable. Maybe I want to retire early. And that's it.
Well, Denver, that was great value. We could see you're a teacher, and a lot of people are going to get so much value, and it's going to help a lot. So thank you for coming on today.
I hope so.
Denver.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Hit subscribe. Tap that little like button.
Subscribe. Here.